Right, I think I'm live. Uh Not sure. I've never done this before, so please bear with me and don't mind the jiggly camera work because I'm just using a cheap holder and I'm just doing this off of my phone. I am by no means a professional content creator and I very much doubt I will ever be. So just bear with me while I get this set up here the way I want it. All right. Yes, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Joe's little junkatorium of fun games, lock picking, and other crazy things. So, I had initially today wanted to do a video featuring um, something I like to do. I like to hand file keys for unkeyed locks that I have. I'll go to a locksmith, I'll get a blank, and once I beat a lock, if I want to keep it around or add it to my permanent collection, if again, this is for locks that are not keyed. I'll go purchase a blank, and I'll just get a bit of background here. Yeah, so there you can see there's a hand filed key, one of many that I have done. Um, yeah, it's just something I really enjoy doing. It takes time, it takes a bit of precision, and it is pretty satisfying once you hand file a key and it goes ahead and opens the lock that it was filed for. So, something that I have discovered is that locks with loose tolerances, that is to say, perhaps locks that are not very high end, like there's a bit of looseness in the lock, right? There's a little bit of play in there. They tend to be very much more forgiving than locks with tight tolerances. So you can be a little less precise on your hand filing with a lock that has these loose tolerances. But as the locks get better and more high end and better constructed, your hand filing really needs to be accurate and on point in order for the key to work. Don't worry, I have destroyed a couple of keys doing this. It's by no means a perfect process, and it's really easy to screw this up. So, anyways, I'm going to stop rambling about the hand filing. I'm actually going to make a video about that sometime. I had intended to today, but things are just all crazy and stuff. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to try going live once, just once. Now, I've never done this before. It's just something new, and I was just like, you know what? Let's take a stab at it. Let's give it a try. So I'm gonna ramble a little bit while I pick locks. Yes. So, anyways, I hope wherever, if anybody's actually tuning in, I don't seriously expect people to tune in to listen to me ramble on about stuff live. Um, Wherever you are, if you're watching this, I hope you're having a great day and that things are going well in your world. I'm just getting out my regular army of picks here. What we're going to do today is I have not done my practice picks. I don't know what other lock sporters do. I don't know if locksmiths do this. And I would imagine I'm not the only person. I have this jar here. I don't know how well that shows up, but it's like a large plastic jar, probably like, I don't know, a half gallon, I guess, for those of you in the States. So like 500 milliliters, half gallon, something like that. I don't even think that 500 milliliters is a half gallon. I know that 500 milliliters is half of a liter, and a gallon is what, is 4 liters. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm not doing the math. Um, So yeah, what I try to do, and I try to do this once or twice a day, is I have a bunch of locks in this jar. Some pretty crappy. Most actually no, most are pretty crappy. Most are not particularly difficult locks, but I call this my minimum skills. This is my absolute bare bones minimum skill set in terms of lock picking. So I try to do this at least once a day, typically over morning coffee. Oh, that reminds me. Time to get a shot of this go juice here. Finish this off before it goes cold on me. Mmm. I love a good cup of coffee. Right, so without any further ado, we'll just start going ahead and picking these locks. Yeah, all right, there we go. There's lock number one down. So yeah, things here have been kind of a little wonky with the weather. We've had a couple of really nice days, 10 degrees Celsius, which, I mean, if you know anything about how winters are in Alberta, 10 degrees Celsius is like freaking tropical, man. There are people out here that as soon as it hits any temperature in the pluses, they're out there in shorts and a t-shirt and stuff. I'm not one of them, but there are those folks that do that. All right, so I don't think this lock likes that particular pick, but I know it likes this one. We'll try my little tickler here on this bad boy. So the other day, the weather was nice enough, like it was like plus 10. Oh, what the heck? As if I can't pick this lock. What the heck? I'm going to look like a fool here. So it was plus 10, and this kind of leads into another side story. I'm going to be talking about marijuana here, and you need to know and understand that where I am, marijuana is now legal. Um, there are still some ins and outs with that. I haven't really read the legislation. All I know is that now I cannot be busted for sitting in a park and just sitting there and enjoying a quick toot there. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I've concluded that alcohol is perhaps not a good choice for me. However, I still. Oh, there we go. Finally got that one. I don't know why that took so much trouble. This Testa is like a really cheap. This is like a cheap $5 lock. I've never had this much trouble picking it. Um, so yeah, marijuana. It's legal in Canada now. You're supposed to buy it through a dispensary or some kind of officially licensed retailer. And the line from the government was that once this happened, the black market trade in marijuana would completely collapse, blah, 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 blah. And we'd all sail off into the sunset holding hands and singing songs or something silly like that. No such thing has happened. There have been a lot of supply issues with the major growers. There have been a couple of recalls due to defective product with mold on it, mite infestations, et cetera, et cetera. So they're really still, in terms of the corporate giants that are producing marijuana, they still got a lot of bugs to work out. That comes as no surprise. I'm sure they're working them out. However, for guys like me, I've been, like I'm gonna be 43 this year. I think I'm gonna be 43. That's pretty sad when I can't actually remember how old I am, other than I'm in my 40s. And I've been smoking marijuana a long time. I've been smoking pot since I was about 12 years old. And, like a lot of folks in my situation that have been smoking for a very long time don't really have that much of an impetus to stop buying pot from their regular dealer, who they probably been going to for years. They have very little impetus to stop going to their dealer and pay more for the same thing. Um, and the situation it's created is now dealers are doing even more business, and they're better able to access different products. Like back in the day, you went to your dealer, he had one kind of pot. He had no idea what the strain was called, just that it was either good or not as good or what have you. Wow, this lock really doesn't want to be picked today. It could just be me. That's entirely possible. I am kind of distracted with all my rambling. So yeah, like I was saying, a lot of folks in my position just don't have the impetus. Uh, my guy, we'll call him my guy, uh, typically only had one kind of marijuana. Nowadays, he has like five or six kinds of marijuana, and he often has shatter, distillates, really nice hashish. He had, like some really great hash the other day, and I picked some of that up, and that was like a nice nostalgia trip because you just don't see good pressed hash. All right, there goes that core. This is just a cheap master core. Yeah, so I mean, like, I really have no reason to ditch my guy and go pay almost double at, say, Nova or, insert name of cannabis giant here. Interesting side note, I think Nova, of all the cannabis giants, I think Nova might be the first to collapse because they've had a lot of supply and quality issues. And half the time you go in there and they don't have anything for sale, or if they do, it's like ridiculously overpriced oil that you could probably make in your garage if you do it safely. And if you are, please, for fuck's sakes, do things safely. Don't blow yourself up. Another interesting side story about manufacturing uh, uh, hash oil, weed oil, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Typically, people employ you're basically applying a process of distillation, right? You're basically using a solvent. You're dissolving the goodies that you want, and then boiling the solvent off, right? That could be very dangerous, particularly in a closed environment where you could reach, say, an explosive vapor concentration. And, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just alcohol. Alcohol doesn't burn at a high temperature. And, there's no way its explosion could be bad. Well, I knew some kids back in the day, probably like grade 8 or grade 9, and these kids had cut class for the day. They had a whole bunch of shake and they wanted to make some oil out of it. No big deal. But these kids did not employ any modicum. All right, we're going to go. Hold on a sec. We're just going to interject. This is it's a master number 5. This is supposedly like a very robust commercial model. Anyways, getting back to the story. So these kids were in the garage. They had the garage completely sealed. So they're building a potentially explosive vapor up inside the garage. They were smoking, and they at some point somebody flicked the lighter, and they all agreed. They all agreed that flicking the lighter was the catalyst for the explosion. And there was obviously an explosive concentration of vapor in the air, and the explosion was powerful enough that two of the kids were there. 3 kids in the garage. The kid closest to where it exploded lost the hearing in one of his ears permanently and damaged the hearing in the other ear. The other 2 kids had some minor burns, like they all singed their hair and stuff like that. But the other 2 kids had temporary hearing loss from the blast. And the blast, and we're just talking like a double car garage here, so they've built up a fair amount of explosive vapor. Um, all right, we got that lock open. Um, the explosion was such that it blew the window out in the garage, and it partly unseated the garage door. So that gives you an idea of how just a relatively small amount of explosive vapor in the air could lead to some potentially catastrophic, and I can't even talk, catastrophic consequences. And yeah, so now we have a all right, another master falls to the picks there. So and yeah, the kids hurt themselves. One of them permanently. He is deaf in one ear, and the hearing in his other ear ain't that great anymore. And it was just from his eardrums being ruptured by an explosion. So the moral of the story is if you want to make hash oil, please at least indulge some modicum of safety, like not containing all the vapor inside of a closed space there, and then aggravating it by flicking lighters, etc., etc. Yeah, so enough of that story, and you know what? This master's actually giving me a bit of a fight. Oh, come on, come on, baby. I know you love me. All right, leading on to my other story, I had kind of expressed in my last video how I was a little bummed out that my tire had gone on my bike, and that's actually kind of how I ended up talking about pot. Um, I had I was riding my bike the other night to go see my guy, and I just must have hit the right thing. But I got home, parked my bicycle in the garage, and I got up the next morning. I was gonna hop on my bike and go for a ride. Flat tire. So I was a little bummed out about that. But yesterday unglued the bike, got everything apart, pulled the tube out, and determined that it was a tiny pinhole leak caused by a shard of glass. If you've ever been to Edmonton, uh, we actually Edmonton still is a beautiful city. Let me make that very clear. Okay, but its beauty is kind of threatened by the amount of littering that goes on. We have a fairly high population of transients, of homeless, of persons with mental illnesses, persons with addiction issues, etc., etc. And you go to our river valley, and you can see the evidence of it everywhere. So there's a fair amount of broken glass. What the heck is up with this lock? I don't know why this thing is just messing with me today. All right, we'll just have to sit this one. We'll sit this one right aside here, and We'll get to this one in a little bit. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about you. Right. So, yeah, we got the tube fixed, and sometime later today, I'm gonna remount the tube. I'm actually seeing this one went up without a fight. Um, yeah, so I want to get the bike pasted back together so I can go for a ride because as the weather gets better, I will be doing a lot more bike riding. In fact, I actually preferred to ride my bike wherever possible. Um, I don't drive. I've never really enjoyed driving. And to define that, it's not that I don't like the actual act of driving. That's definitely not it. It comes into driving in situations where there's other people driving and there are a lot of idiots on the road. And I have no patience for it. I have no tolerance for it. I tend to be a very angry, upset driver a lot. So maybe it's just best if I stay off the road and stick to my bike. Enough said about that. So yeah, the bike issue is coming along nicely. Um, Funny story that I kind of wanted to relate. So last night, just before little buddy's bedtime, there he was kind of haranguing me for a snack. Oh yeah, this one likes top of keyway tension. Yeah, this is a real funny one. Yeah, we'll just go top of the keyway there, and yep, folds like a clean t-shirt. So I'm sitting there with my little buddy there, and he's sitting there having a snack before bedtime. and he just looks like he's deep in thought. He's staring off. He's got that 1,000 yard stare, and he's just staring off, and he looks like he's thinking really hard about something. Finally, my curiosity gets the better of me, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you thinking about, little buddy?" He sits there and he goes, and he looks at me and he goes, sometimes I sit down to go poop, and other times I stand up to go pee. Well, I was very amused. That was his like epiphany of the day, and I was nothing short of amused. I gotta say that one thing that I really enjoy about having the little ones around is that kids always say the darndest things. They do. It's sometimes it's kind of creepy, right? Sometimes it's kind of horrifying, but it is for the most part very entertaining. All right. So, and you know what? I don't know what's up with this. Wow, man. My lockpick foo is just not there today, man. I'm really terrible. Wow, I suck bad. So maybe I should have done the video about the back shimming and stuff, because there's less of an opportunity for me to look like some yokel who can't even pick a lock. Yeah. All right. You know what? We'll set that one off to the side too. Um, Something that does happen with the practice bucket every day is there's always one or two locks that just doesn't go right away. And for whatever reason, maybe my lock picking sucks. Maybe the lock hates me. I don't know. There's always one or two that messes with me, and I cannot initially pick. So I just set them off to the side, pick the ones that I can, and I get back to the other pile just a little bit later. And you know what? This one's not liking me today either. Wow. What a what a tear. So I seen I sort of on my a little window pops up on my phone that shows comments that people are making. I didn't know that people were actually tuning in. That's actually pretty crazy. And I just sort of seen out of the corner of my eye that somebody had said hello from Germany. Guten Tag, wie geht's? Ich habe gewohnt in Deutschland. I lived in my folks, my mom and my dad were military people, both of them. My dad was an aircraft mechanic. My mom was a clerk for Headquarters Europe. We used to live in Lahr, West Germany, back when there was an East and a West Germany, from 1982 to 1986. Uh, I very much miss the Schwarzwald area. It was just unbelievably beautiful. There's like a castle, an actual castle, ruins of a freaking castle, like a half-hour bike ride from the area where we lived in Lahr. So to whoever gave me that shout out from Germany, thank you very much. I have very fond memories of Germany and its people. And one of my things is I'm kind of hoping I can make it back there before I die, because I'd kind of like to see how the Lahr area has changed. I've kind of heard some mixed opinions on that. My understanding is that the old place where I used to live, which was called Area 31, which basically just a series of apartment blocks. There goes that lock. A series of apartment blocks, and it has largely been taken over by uh, people from Russia or the Ukraine or something like that. And some people were like, well, the area's kind of been known for its diversity, and I mean, like there's when I was in Lahr, I was actually surprised at how many instances of there goes that one. That is a standard quick set core. These normal quick sets that aren't smart locks, these things fold like a clean t-shirt. These are, it doesn't even really seem to matter what the bitting is like on them, but you could just blow through these like they aren't even there. um, oh yeah, Nice master M1. I bet you this one's gonna mess with me. This one likes to mess with me a lot. Yeah, so there were a lot of instances of Italian, and what I didn't understand is that shortly after World War II, I guess the area kind of became something of a haven for persons displaced, Italian persons displaced by the war. And so there's a fair number of Italians in the southwest of Germany. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, oh, this M1 is just messing with me. This thing does not like me today. I've had trouble with this lock. I've actually had it where this lock is picked, but the plug just does not really want to turn, and I've had to really pour the lube onto this lock. Oh no, no, no! This M1 fell. Wow. Okay, yeah. All right. That's absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, sweet. All right, we're on to a really cheap deadbolt. This is a faultless. I don't know if that shows up. This is regarded as a low end brand. Really disappointing that they would take such a beautiful, beautiful piece of brass and then slap this ugly stainless cap over it. I really don't understand, what possessed manufacturers to be like, oh, we should go with this cap thing. I don't understand it myself, but I'm sure it had to do with, like people's preferences and some kind of marketing shit going on there. I don't think that one's going to take a standard snake rake. Let's switch over to the Octo Rake. Just give that one a jiggle. Jiggly, jiggly, jiggly doo, jiggly, jiggly, jiggly doo. Almost, almost. And I think it's the last pin that's just being the stick in the mud. Yep, the last pin in the back. There we go. There's that one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sort of seeing hello, also a hello from Denmark. Hey, how's it going, Danske? I have never been to Denmark. That was, and this is something that I'm a little irritated about my parents. Germany. I was just a little kid. We moved there when I was 6 years old. So, and my parents took a number of vacations. This is a standard Wiser. We got this one's keyed, so we got the nice Wiser key. I actually like Wiser keys for the most part. I've got a Wiser key that I'll feature in a video, and I don't know what this Wiser key is made of, but it weighs less than 1 gram, which for a metal key is just astounding. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get back to the picking. And the story about how my parents screwed me when I was living in Germany. My parents, there we go, there goes the Wiser. My parents would often take vacations. Like my mom got to go to Berlin, and nowadays going to Berlin isn't really a big deal. But back in the day when the wall was still up, going to Berlin, like that was a really big deal. So my mom got to go to Berlin. My parents fucked off for like a 3-day Greek cruise in the Aegean Sea, which there we go. And got another quick set that just fell there. Um, yeah, they also went to Rome. They went to a bunch of places. Oh, hey, here's a Euro core. I have no idea what this brand says. Geba, Geba. So if anybody out there knows what this core is about, or what brand name it is, or how to properly pronounce it, hit me up in the comments there. Let me know. This is one of the Euros that West Pool sent to me. So a big shout out to West Pool, who's one of my lock sport buddies. Yeah, and this is another example of a hand filed key that I made. Once I beat this lock, I hand filed a nice key, and it works beautifully. Um, yeah, yeah. Getting back to how badly I got screwed while we were living in Germany. My parents also went to Denmark. They went to Holland, and we just got robbed. So many of these opportunities to see neat and interesting places. Mostly what we saw was like I've seen a fair amount of France. One place I really like in France is Strasbourg, which is not ridiculously far from the German border. I mean, it's maybe like a 2-3 hour drive from Lahr to Strasbourg. I might be a little rusty on the actual distances and times because I mean, like, we're talking to something that happened in like 1984. So, yeah, I've seen a fair bit of France, been to Switzerland a bunch of times. I have skied the Swiss Alps, but I kind of got screwed out of seeing a lot of the lower countries, right? So, and yeah, I mean, I can see why my parents, kind of, oh, there we go, the Giba or whatever the heck it's called. That one falls to the pick. And at some point, I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford it, right? Because shit costs money, man. Shit's not cheap. And, like wages just simply are not keeping up or out tracking the rate at which things are inflating. But I would like to return to Europe before I die. That's kind of something that I want to do. And I would like to oh, hold on, we're shaking the desk, which means we're shaking the camera. All right, there we go. We get another Wiser Court falls. Actually, no, that's a Tamor. It's basically a Wiser clone. Uh, Tamor is actually a frighteningly popular brand right now, um, but their lock sets aren't really that great. I haven't met a Tamor yet that I couldn't beat. Here we go with another Wiser core. Let's pop the key out of that. Do-do-do-do-do. And yeah, we'll get back into there. Oh, come on. Maybe this guy likes the octopus. No, we'll try the tickler. We'll try the tickler. And what the heck? What the heck? So this one, usually this one just drops with the tickler. I don't know what my deal is today. Wow, maybe I need more coffee? I don't know. All right, so oh, it looks like I just got a ray of sunshine through my curtains here. I'm actually very fortunate in my current living situation. The room where I have this desk, immediately behind me, that window faces kind of south southeast. So in the morning, I get a lot of sunshine through the window if it's a nice day, and it appears. Oh, there we go. There we go. There goes the Wiser core. Beat it with the oh, where is it showing up on camera? The Sparrow's Octorake. I don't know where other people are at with this thing, but I absolutely love this pick. If my regular snake rake does not immediately work raking a lock, I will probably try the Octorake next. That would be my second go-to. I've had a lot of success with these worm style rakes. So that might be something for other folks to try out. If it worked for me, it could potentially work for you too. All right, so let's put the key back in that lock, throw it back in the pile, and ooh, this one's one that's gonna mess with me. I don't know if this is an actual Schlage or just a Schlage clone. I very much doubt this is a Schlage core because it's entirely possible. I mean, I don't know everything about locks. I don't think I ever will. I don't think I'll ever even come close. But I think this is like some kind of Schlage knockoff. Definitely a Schlage keyway in there. The the Schlage and the Weiser keyways are insanely popular here, and I really don't know why, because they're like they're so easy to these keyways, you know, especially you got that nice straight run there with the pins. I mean, these keyways basically give you, right? So I'll get the tomahawk bar in there, right? Like you still got a fair amount of space in there to play around with a pick, So um, these style of keyways just lend themselves to happy pickings for everybody. I've beat this lock. I've beat it several times. There's a reason it's in the practice bucket, but this is a lock that is an example of one that really messes with me. And this one actually has pretty forgiving bidding. Like, look at that. Like, that bidding's not really crazy at all. I don't know. It doesn't show up particularly well there. Oh, there we go. Yeah, like that's not super crazy bidding there. So, uh, beating this one is kind of a mixed bag. But I have done it. I have done it. If I had not been able to pick it or something like that, it would actually be in the square bin with the green lid, which is like the naughty box slash projects that I have yet to get working on, because I got a million other things that I like to do. And you know what? This one really is not liking me today. All right, let's switch it up. Let's jump into using the octo rake here. All right. Oh, nope. Doesn't want to go in that way. Come on, let's get in there. Oh, come on. This thing's really starting to get my gears. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just want to utter all sorts of profanities right now, but something I've been trying to do lately is try to clean up my language, because little buddy's 4 now, and you know, like little kids like that, they hear something, they will basically repeat exactly what you said. And I've been really trying to make an effort to kind of clean up my language a bit, especially around little buddy, because I really don't want him to pick up the bad habit of using bad language, which is going to get him into trouble at daycare and da 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 da. Da. Plus, it would behoove me to not utter the F word every second word. And, you know, like my major background is construction. I'm a friggin' construction worker, right? They're you know, a savage bunch of fellas, and for the most part they talk primarily in profanities, etc., etc. And while it's totally okay to do that stuff on a site, we've actually put the Schlage knockoff. We're just going to stick that in the pile of locks that couldn't get picked today. Just stick that over there. And this one is an American. This is an American core. This is from one of their large puck locks. And I actually did a video about this lock a while ago, and why it was actually, you know, not the most terrible design. I don't know. I don't have a key for this lock, so but after having picked it, for an American, this actually has really easy bitting, and is actually fairly easy to pick. I have a couple of American cores, like the one Toby McMullen sent me, that was a U.S. government issue, and that core was just diabolically hard to try and pick that bugger. So I'm gonna switch back to the rake here. Wow, wow! I don't know why this lock is just Man, this one's really messing with me. Usually this one's like one, two, done. It could I'm distracted. I'm kind of trying to watch the camera and watch the lock, so I'm like watching the same thing from two different locations. Oh, we're almost there. Nope. Nope. Denied. Denied. Wow, this lock hates me today. Or it's entirely possible that I just suck, like that's wouldn't come as any huge surprise either. Um, all right. Oh, oh, come on. Usually this one with a regular snake rake just pops right open. And we'll figure it out. Either that or it'll just go into the naughty pile for later. Um, Once I finish up here, I'm actually going to. I have a. What did I do with the tube? Oh yeah, the tube's just sitting over to my left here. Popped the tube out last night, determined where the hole was, and it was just very typical. Just this tiny little pin-sized hole in the inner tube. Nothing fantastic. Basically cleaned out the tire, cleaned the tube up, gave it a really good wash in the sink, etc., etc. Get everything all cleaned up. Put a patch on it, clamped it, left it overnight. Filled the tube up with air this morning. It holds air, no bubbles, so I'm gonna consider that a win. And hopefully we can get that pasted back together today, and I can be back on the road again because I need to go see my guy. I am out of marijuana. Oh, there we go. Finally. Yeah, there we go. See? Yeah, friggin' took long enough. Bad lock. Bad lock. You can go stand in the corner. Um, yeah, I would like to go get some marijuana. Like I said earlier, whoops. Uh oh, we dropped the peck. Let's get that. Like I said earlier, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I used to, absolutely. And I used to have a lot of fun. At one point in my life, I was quite the party animal. And, however, just like every lot of folks, things change over time. Partying just doesn't really hold the same allure that it did when I was a younger fella. And alcohol started making me physically ill. Like I would go out and I mean, I used to really love beer. And, there's nothing I liked more than, all right, so here's this one is called a national, I think it is. This is a higher end cabinet lock. And this one, it was supposed to be a difficult pick when I got it, but I don't know, maybe it's got very generous bitting or I don't know, but this one just had no problem opening this one whatsoever. So, and this is actually for a tiny cabinet lock. This is actually very well built. I'm actually impressed with the machining, with the quality of the materials on this little lock. So I would imagine these would be a reasonably good little cabinet lock. All right, and coming to the last actual lock. Oh, hey. So, um, for those of you who don't actually already know, I am a bit of a junk person. When I was a little kid, my late uncle David, he actually passed away not too long ago here. So shout out to Uncle Dave wherever you are, bud. I hope your travels are good and all that jibber jabber. My uncle David, who was an ex Hutterite, used to take me and my bro. We'd go there and visit, and we'd work on his farm and pick rocks and pick fruit and do all these farm chores. But on Sunday, see there, that one just opened up very quickly. This is actually a really oddball lock. Where the heck did I get this one? Um, Oh yes, this actually came from a. They were demolishing, not demolishing. They were doing a major reno in an apartment building, and they pulled every single lock in the building. and they were in the process of throwing them out when I showed up and said, "Hey, do you mind if I, pilfer stuff out of the locks that you're throwing out?" And the guy said, "Here, this is what we have left." So he showed me a box, and I grabbed whatever I wanted out of it. Now, I don't know if this was on somebody's door or where a lock like this might have been, but it's fairly easy. As you can see, it's only got three chambers, so this is actually a really easy pick. I think the reason I kept it is because it does appear to be a vintage lock, and it is all brass. So I think I'm going to continue to hang on to that one. All right, so that's actually here. Let's just move everything out of the way here. Got a bunch of picks in the way. There's the practice pile right there. That's the whole practice pile, and I've been wow. Just looking at the timer here, and I've been going on 45 minutes, and I can sort of see that I think that symbol means there are two people watching. So I got to give a shout out to whoever actually sat here for 45 minutes and listened to me babble on like a maniac while I was picking locks. Whoever you two are, you guys are awesome. I didn't think I would actually catch any watchers on my live stream. I was like, you know what? Let's give this a try today. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for the practice pile. I'm gonna get to these other three later. I've been yammering on long enough. I have some stuff. I gotta put my bike back together today. Um, oh yeah, I was gonna talk a little bit about the junkin. Yes, so here I am going off topic. I'm not even stoned. You should see me when I'm stoned. I'm a scatterbrain, a huge scatterbrain when I'm stoned. So had an uncle that would take us to the dump, and I think that was kind of the seed that was planted. And going to the dump as a kid, it was like, look at all this treasure, like look at all this stuff. People threw this away, and so that kind of started it. And from then on, it just never. Uh, it just always amazes me at some of the things people just throw away. I can't really comment on what it's like in other places around the world, although I would imagine there are similar things going on. I know that for certain here in Edmonton, people just, we have a lot of stuff that we don't even use, right? And you never know how much stuff you have until you have to move it from place A to place B, right? And that's where a lot of the purging comes in, is that people purge their belongings and they get rid of stuff that they don't think that they need anymore, et cetera, et cetera. So, and because I've always, ever since the back in the day when I was a little kid and I went to the dump, I've always had a particular interest in finding treasure in garbage, and I've been filling my time a lot because I've been on this little doctor ordered vacation. Um, I was told to sit around and rest as much as possible, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I can't do that, man. I can't just sit around here because that's going to lead to me just kettling inside my own head. So I go out and I find empties. Wherever you guys are tuning into, I don't know if it's like that where you are, but if you get empties like pop cans, beer cans, bottles, and stuff, well, you can take those to a depot and they'll give you money for it. So what I've been doing, 2, 3 times a week, is I'll get some dirty clothes, some clothes on that I can get dirty, and I have a big long stick with a pointy end so I can stab things, not people, things. I don't roll that way anymore. Uh, and I'll just go out bottle picking for a few hours. And my average, I'm probably bringing in an extra, I don't know, $50 to $80 weekly just on bottles, and that's from casually doing it 2, 3 times a week. So yeah, there's a little bit of, and also too, it gives me an opportunity to, and it's particularly, it is more pronounced around the end of the month, beginning of the month, because end of the month, beginning of the month, there are a lot of people moving, and there's an increased chance that people are going to throw stuff away. So, and if everybody just hangs tough here for like 2 seconds, I'll actually go grab some of the treasures that I found on my last run. So just give me a second here. I will be right back. All right. Yes. So my last run the other day netted some pretty interesting stuff. I mean, I would actually I've gotten a little bit more refined in my garbage picking, I guess you could call it, because that's exactly what it is. It's fucking garbage. Like we don't need to sugarcoat this or it's friggin' picking garbage. And that's typically why I wear a pair of coveralls that I can get dirty because it's often a very unclean thing. And I mean, like I'm not even diving headfirst into dumpsters or anything. That's why I got the pointy stick, is so I can have a degree of separation. You don't want to be jumping into a dumpster that could have human waste in it, could have broken glass, dirty hypodermic needles, etc., etc. Like there could be some very dangerous shit, and that's why I use a pointed stick for the most part. So on my run the other day, I probably netted about $18 worth of bottles, and I only know that because I had so much on me. I had to stop what I was doing, go to a bottle depot, and return what I had on me so that I could make it home because I was about 5 kilometers from my house. And there's no way I'm carrying 40 pounds of shit all the way back to my house. That's just not going to happen. So I went to the bottle depot and, continued on about my merry ways. So the other day, I found this 10 karat gold chain, and I have done the density test on it. It is definitely 10 karat gold. Uh, Now, I'm not collecting this because I want to wear the chain. I actually have a small collection of like broken gold jewelry and old silver, etc. And it just goes into a jar. And every once in a while, like twice a year, I go to a business and they buy precious metals. So you can go in with all this broken jewelry. They will test it, they'll weigh it out, and they'll give you money for it. So that's why, and I don't just collect any old jewelry. It has to be gold, or it has to have some kind of value to it. Another neat thing that I found, it appears to be a laser cut stainless steel skull keychain thingy. Now, I actually really like this, and I'm kind of tempted to keep it, but I have a really good friend. His name is Scully, and as you may imagine, he likes to collect skulls. So I think this is going to go to him because I already got keychains. I don't have a specific use for it, and I don't need any more junk. All right, on to treasure number three. This is an actual brand name Zippo. Yeah, I'm just kind of zooming in there. This is a brand name Zippo made in the United States, and this is an Elvis Presley themed one. This is actually going to my friend Brittany in Calgary. And what really surprised me about this is, okay, it's got no fluid, but it still makes good spark. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that end of it. Um, this appears to have been barely used. And then somebody just chucked it out. Basically a brand new Zippo lighter, and they just chucked it. So this is the kind, and the wadding in there is still in immaculate shape. I think this may have seen lighter fluid like once or twice, if ever. So yeah, that was something. Somebody threw this out in the garbage. There's that. And I often find money. Sometimes it's just like small pocket change, and I always pick up money if I find it. Um, this one, and this is something I didn't know. This is a $1 coin. It's from the United States of America. I didn't know that America had dollar coins. It doesn't surprise me. I'm not like, whoa, you guys have dollars. I just didn't know that they had dollar coins. And this one's fairly old, 1979. So that's pretty cool. I know somebody who collects coins, so this will be going to them. Right. So that's pretty much it. I'm probably going to fire up some coffee, get my bike fixed, and I might go do bottles this afternoon. I was actually supposed to go do a day job helping out a friend's boyfriend. He needs some help doing like a patio roof type thing, and he needs some help with the demolition end. But the weather is looking like it's going to be poor this afternoon. It's looking like we might get a little bit of rain and that dreaded snow stuff. But, we'll just have to play it by ear. Anyways, I would like to thank everybody that tuned in personally. I just far exceeded my expectations. I didn't think anybody would actually want to sit here and listen to me ramble while I pick locks, but I guess I was wrong. I may do live stream events like this in the future, like perhaps if I get, the reception was pretty decent, maybe what I'll do is I will live stream hand filing a key for this, and I'll ramble on again about various things. Trust me, yeah. Who likes to talk? This guy. This guy likes to talk, especially if I've had enough coffee. So I'm gonna shut her down. I have to go to the bathroom too. I gotta piss like a racehorse, man. I'm dying here. So I'm gonna shut her down. I hope everybody has a great, fantastic day. Huge shout out to folks that tuned in. Shout out to my friends in the lock sport hobby, and a shout out to County Sheepdog if he sees this. And yeah, all of y'all stay cool. We'll talk to you again really soon. Okay, so how do I shut this off? um, yeah. Okay, are you sure you want to stop?